Let's go back to a time when the Earth was just forming beneath our feet and take a closer look at one of the largest carnivores to ever walk the surface of the planet. The place where southern Argentina lies today was once a mysterious landscape full of wetlands, river branches, and endless vegetation. Here, among the roaring trees and under the wings of giant flying reptiles, a predator ruled whose name commands respect even today. What did he look like? What made it so special? And how do we actually know that it existed? Today, we will follow in the footsteps of one of the most iconic predators of the Mesozoic world, the Giganotosaurus. But beware, this will not be an ordinary story. We will meet a giant who had teeth like knives, a body as strong as a tank, and a past shrouded in mystery. When we think of a Giganotosaurus, we think of a figure of impressive size. However, the exact numbers of its length and weight are still shrouded in some uncertainty because the fossil remains that have been preserved are not completely complete. According to the most reliable estimates, this colossus was able to reach a length of between 12 and 13 meters. This makes it one of the largest known land predators in the history of life on Earth. Its body was built for efficient movement. It was a bipedal creature with a horizontally carried torso, with the head and tail forming a balanced axis to maintain stability. The skull of Giganotosaurus was extremely robust and deep, although it has been preserved only partially. The surface of the bones on the head shows a rough texture, and the tiny ridges that stretched from the nasal bone to above the eyes could have supported soft tissue in the form of a kind of skin protrusion in life. The brain was larger than that of most of its relatives in the Carcharodontosaurid family. And what about his teeth? He had about 76 of them, sharp as razors, with a maximum length of up to 20 centimeters, about the size of a regular kitchen knife. The story of Giganotosaurus went down in history relatively recently, in the year 1993. It was not a professional paleontologist who made this discovery, but an amateur fossil collector named Ruben Dario Carolini. While driving a buggy through the rocky landscape of Argentine Patagonia, he came across a huge bone of his lower limb. The find caught the attention of experts from the University of Neuquén, who began excavations. The result was the discovery of a partial skeleton that included part of the skull, spinal, pelvic, and limb bones. The scientific name Giganotosaurus was given in the year 1995. Its name translates to giant southern lizard, and the species name Carolini was chosen in honor of its discoverer. The original fossil is now on display in the Ernest Bachman Museum in Villa El Chocón and is its biggest attraction, an entire room dedicated only to Giganotosaurus. The key to the success of this dinosaur was probably its growth rate. Scientists found that Giganotosaurus had a metabolism similar to that of mammals, allowing it to live quickly and reach a giant size early. This means that the young Giganotosaurus could start hunting large prey relatively soon. Although he was massive, his limbs suggest that he was more of a sudden attacker than a long-distance runner. He was an ambush predator. He surprised his victims with an unexpected lunge from the undergrowth or from the river. When hunting, It used its sharp teeth to tear meat, not to crush bones like the T-Rex. He grabbed the prey with the front of his jaws, gripped it with his teeth, and held it tightly with his back, eliminating any possibility of escape. The home of Giganotosaurus was the Candelaroan Formation, a geological layer from the Upper Cretaceous period located in present-day Patagonia. These areas were dominated by wetlands, river systems, and swampy forests. The ecosystem was extremely diverse. In addition to Giganotosaurus, there were giant sauropods such as Andosaurus and Limasaurus, predators such as Buitroraptor or Aeoniraptor, and strange creatures resembling today's anteaters. Life pulsed here not only among dinosaurs, but also in river pools, where dinosaurs, frogs, small mammals, and early snakes lurked. Giganotosaurus was not a lone predator. It belonged to the evolutionary line of one of the largest carnivorous dinosaurs that ever existed. The Candelaria Formation is one of the richest fossil sites in South America, giving scientists a glimpse into the complex mosaic of life that existed nearly 100 million years ago. Giganotosaurus was not alone here. He was a king, but his kingdom was lively, noisy, and full of other actors. This group is technically called Carcharodontosaurids, which translates it to lizards with shark-like teeth. These dinosaurs were typical not only for their size, but also for the shape of their skulls and the structure of their teeth. Their teeth were sharp, hooked, and serrated, ideal for cutting meat, not crushing bones. Giganotosaurus was one of the most recent representatives of this group. Its occurrence dates back to the Cenomanian period, approximately 97 million years ago. At that time, the planet was already hosting other giants, such as the T-Rex or Spinosaurus. Even so, Giganotosaurus has maintained its dominant position thanks to its development and adaptation to the local ecosystem. The closest known relative of Giganotosaurus was Mapusaurus, which inhabited the same areas of South America several million years before it. This predator was slightly smaller, but its skeletal remains are so similar that scientists place it in the subgroup of gigasaurs. Mapusaurus was found in Argentina's Huincal Formation and is believed to have hunted in groups, possibly even cooperating in hunting young sauropods. The wider family of these giant predators also includes Carcharodontosaurus from Africa, Acrocanthosaurus from present-day Texas, and Pteranodon from the early Cretaceous of Argentina. Each of these dinosaurs was the dominant hunter of its habitat, and their common features were strength, size, and perfectly matched teeth. While the T-Rex crushed the bones with enormous pressure, Giganotosaurus relied on a different tactic: cutting. Its jaws were extraordinarily strong, but not to break bones, but to bite into soft tissues and cause deep lacerations. Experts compare its strategy to the predatory way of attacking large felines, which first injure and weaken the victim before delivering a fatal blow. This predator also showed signs of high intelligence for its time, which may have allowed it to strategically plan an attack. Instead of running headlessly, he probably relied on silence and surprise. With sharp teeth like knives, he would bite into the hips or neck of his prey and quickly knock it out of the fight. Despite being discovered only in the 1990s, Giganotosaurus quickly found its place in popular culture. He has appeared in documentaries, books, video games, and eventually in the Hollywood film Jurassic World: Dominion. Due to its size and appearance, it was often presented as a rival to the T-Rex, although paleontologically speaking, the two dinosaurs are only distantly related. However, the scientific contribution of Giganotosaurus is much deeper than its media fame. He helped reveal that gigantism among carnivores was not exclusive to North America, but occurred across continents. He also showed how diverse survival strategies could be even among predators of similar size. Giganotosaurus has often been compared to other giant carnivores, most often the more famous T-Rex and the mysterious Spinosaurus. Although Giganotosaurus grew to a similar length to the T-Rex, their body structure and way of life were significantly different. The T-Rex had a shorter, more robust skull and was stronger in bite. His teeth were blunter, but adapted to crush bones. Giganotosaurus, on the other hand, relied on faster head movements, longer jaws, and sharp teeth to cut through flesh. Spinosaurus, on the other hand, evolved in a completely different direction. It lived in North Africa, and according to most studies, was partially aquatic, with jaws resembling a crocodile. His body was longer, but less built for running. While Spinosaurus was the king of rivers and lakes, Giganotosaurus ruled the forests and plains of South America. In a mutual conflict, the result would depend not only on size, but also on the environment, strategy, and luck. The Candeleros Formation is one of the most important paleontological sites in South America. It stretches across Argentine Patagonia and is made up mainly of sandstones, marl stones, and clay stones, which speaks of a varied landscape full of wetlands, river branches, and lowland forests. It was in this environment that Giganotosaurus lived, but also dozens of other animal species, from small mammals to gigantic sauropods. Thanks to the well-preserved layers, a number of new species have been identified here. In addition to Giganotosaurus itself, for example, the abelisaurid Archosaurus, the agile predator Bichiraptor, and the bizarre, fragile predator Alnachetri were discovered here. This region helps us understand not only the evolution of specific dinosaurs, but also the functioning of entire ancient ecosystems in which Giganotosaurus had a firm and dominant place. As an apex predator, Giganotosaurus had almost a free hand in what it decided to hunt. His diet included various species of dinosaurs, reptiles, and smaller mammals. Most of the prey was probably made up of representatives of long-necked sauropods, especially sick, injured, or too young individuals. But thanks to its agility and strength, it was able to kill other species without difficulty, including fast ornithopods or stalotheropods. Interestingly, some fossil footprints suggest that Giganotosaurus may have occasionally competed with other carnivores, such as Archosaurus. This shows a constant struggle for territory and food between individual predators. But Giganotosaurus was almost unrivaled due to its size and ingenious body structure. It ruled its environment with the authority it deserved. Although Giganotosaurus is already well known, there is still a lot of confusion. the biggest problem is the incompleteness of its skeleton. A number of key parts are still missing, such as complete limbs or a complete skull. This complicates accurate estimates of its weight, length, and manner of movement. It also remains a question whether Giganotosaurus hunted alone or in packs like some of its relatives. However, the future of research looks promising. Thanks to new technologies such as CT scanning, 3D modeling, and molecular analysis of fossils, scientists could uncover more details about its biology and evolution in the coming years. Every new find from Patagonia can revolutionize our understanding of this fascinating predator. One of the fascinating aspects of Giganotosaurus was its internal body structure, which was adapted to extreme performance. The bones of his neck were strong and massive, suggesting that he had very developed neck muscles. These muscles allowed him not only to move his head sharply during an attack, but also to tear flesh from bones and possibly even carry pieces of prey into seclusion. Its tail also deserves special attention, long, strong, and tapering towards the end. This tail served as a counterweight to the massive head and torso, helping to maintain balance while walking and attacking. The whole body of Giganotosaurus was perfectly balanced. Although it did not move dizzyingly fast due to its weight, its lunge was precisely targeted and extremely effective. The genus of Carcharodontosaurids, to which Giganotosaurus belonged, originated during the early Cretaceous, approximately 150 million years ago. Over the next millions of years, a number of giant theropods evolved from this group, inhabiting various continents, from South America through Africa to Europe. Giganotosaurus was one of the youngest members of this group and one of the last before their complete extinction. By the end of the Cretaceous period, Carcharodontosaurids began to be gradually displaced by other predators, especially the rapidly evolving tyrannosaurids and other adaptable species. Giganotosaurus apparently became extinct along with the decline of its habitat, the loss of available food, and climate change. Although he was not a victim of a dramatic event at the end of the Cretaceous, like other dinosaurs, his time on Earth was nevertheless smoothly over. The skull of Giganotosaurus is one of the most distinctive parts of its anatomy, although it has been preserved only partially. Its preserved part shows an elongated shape with distinctive protrusions above the eyes and a rough surface of bones, which could have been used to anchor soft tissue or to optically enlarge the head. Also, the structure of the teeth is quite different from those of other theropods. They were significantly curved, razor-sharp, and ideal for cutting, not crushing. An interesting feature is also the texture of the tooth enamel, which, according to scientific analyses, was slightly wrinkled. This increased the resistance of the teeth and helped with tearing the flesh. Each individual tooth functioned like a miniature knife, and because Giganotosaurus had over 70 of them, it was a real living cutting machine. In recent years, science has brought astounding possibilities to re-examine and understand fossils like those that belong to Giganotosaurus. With 3D scanning, computed tomography, and digital reconstructions, science can uncover details that were previously unavailable. For example, skeleton movement simulations are used to find out how Giganotosaurus could move, how it held its head, how fast it walked, or how hard it bit. Some teams are even reconstructing the musculature, blood circulation, and respiration of these long-extinct giants. This leads is not only to a deeper understanding of their physiology, but also to better models for museums, teaching materials, and popular science programs. Giganotosaurus is thus becoming not only an icon of prehistory, but also the center of cutting-edge research. The discovery of Giganotosaurus marked a major turning point for the world of paleontology. Until the 1990s, the imagination of the public and the scientific community was dominated by North American species such as the T-Rex. However, the discovery of such a large and powerful predator in South America has shown that the evolution of giant carnivores took place in parallel on different continents and independently of each other. This fundamentally changed the view of ecosystems of the Cretaceous period and the development of theropod dinosaurs themselves. Thanks to Giganotosaurus, we now know that gigantism in predators was not an exception, but that it was a repetitive evolutionary pattern. This dinosaur thus contributed not only to the enrichment of museum collections, but also to the reassessment of the entire theropod development tree. Its importance lies not only in its size, but also in the story it tells us about the evolution of life on Earth. The idea of a Giganotosaurus in motion is something that fascinates both scientists and prehistoric Finns. Although it was a massive creature, its physique suggests that it was not clumsy. With its long tail and balanced center of gravity, it was able to perform quick lunges and sharp turns, ideal qualities for a predator that relied on surprise. It moved with a bipedal step with its center of gravity shifted forward, with its head and tail forming a balance system. Modern biomechanical models estimate that he could reach speeds of about 25 kilometers per hour while running. This is not an extreme pace, but at its size, any collision would be devastating. Its movement was quiet, fast, and purposeful, exactly the kind of predator that hunts from the forest or ambush by the riverbank. The story of Giganotosaurus did not begin in a laboratory or university, but in the hands of an enthusiastic amateur, Ruben Dario Carolini. This man, who was not a professional paleontologist but had a passion for searching for fossils, was able to uncover one of the most important dinosaurs of recent decades. His find, it proved that even outside the scientific community, a key role can be played in uncovering the secrets of ancient times. This story is an inspiration to anyone who dreams of finding their own piece of the past. It doesn't matter if you have a degree in paleontology, all you need is determination, curiosity, and luck. Ruben became the name that today is associated with one of history's greatest predators, and his example reminds us that even a layman can rewrite the history of science. In recent years, scientists have also tried to reconstruct what Giganotosaurus might have sounded like. Although there are no direct records, the shape of the skull and the bony structures make it possible to estimate what kind of resonance its vocal tract may have produced. According to estimates, They were probably deep, resonating sounds, similar to those made by today's elephants, alligators, or large birds. These sounds could have been used to warn competitors, communicate remotely, or coordinate with any other individuals if Giganotosaurus ever acted in a group. A deep rumbling sound spread through the landscape as a warning. The king of the forest was near. The question of the color of dinosaurs remained for a long time only in the realm of speculation. In Giganotosaurus, like most large theropods, there is no direct evidence of skin color, as soft tissues are very rarely fossilized. Still, comparisons with modern animals and the skin texture of some other dinosaurs can be used to make a realistic estimate. A predator living in forested wetlands would be more likely to have muted shades, dark green, gray-brown, or olive, that would allow it to blend in with the environment. Another possibility is that Giganotosaurus may have had patterning, stripes or spots, similar to today's tigers or monitor lizards. Such camouflage would help him when hunting from ambush. It could also have had a special coloration in the skull area, such as more pronounced stripes or contrasting markings above the eyes, which could have served to intimidate rivals or to communicate. At the top of the food chain, Giganotosaurus held a dominant position. But that doesn't mean it didn't have competition in the area. Within the Candeleros Formation lived more carnivorous dinosaurs. For example, the Abelisaur acreolinatus, a smaller and more robust predator that apparently hunted species other than Giganotosaurus, but could occasionally encounter dead bodies. Another representative was the slender, long-haired Buitroraptor, adapted to hunt smaller prey. However, competition was not limited to dinosaurs. Prehistoric crocodiles, such as Araripesuchus, as well as large snakes such as Najash, posed a danger to juveniles and smaller individuals. But Giganotosaurus remained at the top of the predatory hierarchy. If anyone defended its dominance, it was only for a short time and at the cost of high risk. Since its discovery, Giganotosaurus has become not only a scientific sensation, but also an icon of popular culture. He has appeared in book encyclopedias, animated documentaries, video games, and on the big screen, especially in the film Jurassic World, Dominion. Although some depictions are not scientifically accurate, they still help spread interest in paleontology and inspire new generations of researchers, artists, and enthusiasts. In paleo art, Giganotosaurus is a popular object thanks to its size, massive structure, and fascinating teeth. It provides creators with a huge space for dramatic compositions. It is no wonder that it appears on posters, in school atlases, and as figurines in children's rooms around the world. It is a symbol of strength, evolution, and the mystery of the distant past. Giganotosaurus, a name that sounds like thunder in the distance and carries a story of evolution, power, and discovery. He was a predator who dominated his world, not only because of its size, but also because of its cleverness, physical balance, and adaptation to the inhospitable environment. Its discovery was not only a paleontological milestone, but also a powerful story of human curiosity and passion that transcends the boundaries of academic circles. To this day, it fascinates scientists, inspires artists, and stirs the imagination of all those who longed to look into the distant past. Whether he was fast or slow, silent or thundering, hunter or ruler, one thing is certain. Giganotosaurus remains one of the most powerful dinosaurs to ever walk the earth.